Hello on this Friday evening, starting out the Christmas weekend, episode 2 of Into the Fire. I am super excited to be here. It's going to be a really interesting show, I think, and I think you're really going to enjoy it here on KGRA. Tonight, I'm going to introduce my little buddy, my wingman, who is going to be he's going to be joining us for the rest of these shows, hopefully, at least a lot of them anyway. And that's going to be Ronnie Leatherman. There is Ronnie. Welcome to episode number 2.
Thank you.
I got to tell you a little story real quick. So how this came about is when Chris had actually reached out to me and asked me if I would be interested in this experience. He told me, he said, "Hey man, this is your deal. You know, whatever you want to do, if you wanted to have somebody else come on with you, etc." And I immediately thought of Ronnie. I mean, how long do you think we went back to talking about doing something like this? How many years ago?
Oh, bro, at this point, 10 probably? 10 years ago at least?
At least.
Yeah.
So just to kind of give people an idea, Ronnie and I, we didn't have partners in our unit. We didn't have partners, but we certainly worked together for the most part. Actually, we kind of forced it into where if he had a case, I would be helping him and vice versa. And so we would talk about this stuff. And I think that was even first 48 days, really. We were kind of discussing the possibility of doing this. So there are some people, I'm sure, no doubt that there's people that are listening in. And I wanted to mention one thing before we go any further. For those that are listening, if you are actually on KGRA's site and you're watching this live, or after this thing is already played, you can feel free, message in there where you're from. I'd like to know where you're listening from. And I have no doubt that there's going to be people from around the world that are going to be listening into this. And I'd like to see where you're from, what state, what country, etc. Amanda went ahead and put up our promo code. If you are super interested in getting all the possible content that you can absolutely stand on this station, all you have to do is you have to type in what I've got listed there on the thing. It's DET White, and put that in for the promo code, and you get 30% off for a year subscription. And what does that get you? That basically gets you where you can watch the videos unlimited on any of these shows. And I just have to mention this real quick, and then we'll get to Ronnie's introduction. And that is, I kind of played around and just listened in on several of the other shows just to kind of find out who else was in the KGRA family. And there's some interesting stuff on here. I mean, I was kind of hooked on one of the shows that was talking about UFOs, etc. But the one that really caught my eye was a show that I ended up finding myself sitting there for about an hour and a half watching something about the DeFeo murders in Amityville. And it was super interesting. So I highly recommend that you at least consider that. And you don't even have to have a subscription to watch some of these shows as long as you do it within the first week. So Ronnie.
Yes.
How long have we known each other?
Well, since probably 2000, 2001, so over 20 years.
Long time.
Yeah.
Probably almost 22, almost 23 years, probably.
Yeah.
Tell the audience and those that don't really know you from watching you on the first 48, tell them about you.
So I'm from Commerce, Oklahoma, known for Mickey Mantle for some older people probably. And then as I was going to college, I started working at the sheriff's office up in Ottawa County, which is where Commerce is at. And initially I worked in the jail. After a few months, I was put out on the street as a deputy and did that until I got on with the Tulsa Police Department in 2000 and went through the academy like everybody does. Was in patrol for a few years, and then I went to our Special Investigations Division, and I actually took your spot in Vice. Took your designator, took your phone.
Took my phone calls.
You took some of your phone calls, yes. And then I can remember within that first year, you called me one time because you had ran across somebody who had some information about some drug stuff, which is what I was working, and I think that kind of started our friendship, and then about 8 years later, I'm coming to Homicide. And before that, you were super helpful, as you are with most people. But you made the offer of, hey, if you have questions about coming to Homicide, come and talk to me. And I took advantage of that. And I tell everybody who asks about you, I don't have any reason to suck up to you at this point, I guess, but man, you're a great teacher. You are really passionate about the work you do, and you were super helpful to me and countless others who have either tried to come to Homicide or went somewhere else on the Tulsa Police Department. So just know that I appreciate that. I always have. And then once we started working together, we just hit it off. And, initially I think it was just me, you, and John, because there was a promotion or somebody left or something. And so there was only 3 of us when I came to Homicide. It was broke up into 2 teams. And so initially it was just me, you, and John, I'm pretty sure. And then once Nathan came into the squad, we had our team red based on the color of the dry eraser marker. And the other team was team blue, and they had 5 people on it. And it was just based on our days off and stuff. And we just worked well together. We developed a flow to all the cases we worked, especially I think in the interview room. And it was a great time.
Yeah. Who's better in the interview room, Ronnie?
Oh, you're the best in the whole world, Jason.
No, no. Ronnie's being very modest. Ronnie is really good. Exceptional reputation on the police department. For those of you that are just joining us, we're coming to you from Tulsa, Oklahoma, into the fire. I think we're going to have an amazing time, really, honestly. And Ronnie is a perfect addition for this. He's going to keep everything calm. I appreciate the kind words, Ronnie. I mean, I think you could suck up to me a little bit. I mean, come on. But nevertheless, I think we're going to have a good time. Remember, for those that are listening in, feel free to tell us where you're from, because I like to kind of to get a gauge. I don't get to know where you're from unless I actually know who you are and you're following me on Facebook, etc. So, we want to see where you're at and who is listening and how far we're reaching. How long did you work narcotics?
It would have been, I went there in shift change in 2004. So August of 2004, I initially went to SID, and then I came to Homicide in March of 2012. So almost 8 years. And the first year was in Vice, but we dealt with some street level prostitution stuff, but it was mainly lower level drug dealing stuff. And then the following, after my 1 year in Vice, is when I went to narcotics. Actually, me and Dale Francetic went from Vice to evening shift narcotics, and it went from there. Well, I was in narcotics the rest of the time I was at SID.
Perfect. See, that's what I love. See, while you're talking, I'm sitting over here, one eye's looking at all these people that are Rochester, New York, for Teresa. Actually, I'm going to be teaching in Rochester, New York. I hear it's an interesting place, so I'll be up there later next year.
Someone from Tulsa, someone from Canada. There's people
all over. Somebody from Germany was listening to us earlier today, from Ramstein, Germany. So that's cool, and I love that, because both Ronnie and I worked in narcotics. I worked it for a minute. I mean, Ronnie actually worked half of his career in the narcotics world and was exceptionally good at it. So this story is an interesting story, and I'm going to start it off by saying this is kind of how this story started. Myself and one of the other detectives that I work with, I don't think he minds me mentioning his name, but it's Jeremy Stiles. He works the cold case unit, and we happen to be going up to Southern Illinois, specifically to a prison. It's a federal prison. It's the Greenville Federal Prison, and I think it's FCI, which means Federal Correctional Institute. And while we walked in there was a young lady that was an inmate. I mean, she's wearing the inmate clothing and stuff. And while we were in there, she was cleaning the windows and doing this and that. I think she was a trustee. And she kind of whispered something to me, and she kind of leaned in and she goes, "I know who you are." And I know that she wasn't supposed to be talking to us. I would assume that the rules there was that the inmates aren't supposed to interact with the people that are the visitors, but I didn't mind. And so I said, "Oh, you do, huh?" And she goes, yeah, we watch you all the time in the cell block. We love you guys. And so I said, well, that's really cool. And thank you for saying that. And I hope all is going well for you. And I hope you get out of here soon, et cetera, et cetera. And that was it. And she went on about her thing, and she was off cleaning and doing what she was doing. Super nice. And then probably a year later, actually, I think it was about 3 months later, is when I got a message on my Instagram, and I get messages from tons of people, and I read them all, by the way. I read every single one that I get. And this one message came in, and it was from her. I didn't know that at first. I'm reading this thing, and she goes, "Do you remember me? I'm that girl that you talked to in the federal prison and you said hello to, and I told you that we watched you in the cell block." And she goes, "I just wanted to let you know that I am doing very well. I've been out about a year, and I'm not using drugs, and I'm doing great." And the other thing that really stood out to me, and her name is Jackie Muhs, and what stood out to me was that she sent me a YouTube video, and I just, that really put it over the top for me. And when I watched this YouTube video that explained her story and really humanized her, and it moved me, honestly. And I think that we've got a section of this video. I'm going to show you about 3 minutes and 57 seconds of this video, and you can watch the rest of it later on YouTube on your own. But let's go to that video right quick.
Psalm 107:14. He brought them out of the darkness, the utter darkness, and broke away their chains. I grew up in Sioux Falls. I was born and raised, and I went to Lincoln High School, and then I went to the University of South Dakota to get my nursing degree, and I got married and thought that that's, what life was going to be like, and I was on a pretty good road to be set up for life, maybe have kids next. And so when my husband cheated on me, it just kind of blindsided me, and I just thought that doing the right thing and being, faithful and not drinking very much on the weekends and doing all that didn't pay off. So I'm gonna start going to the bars and just kind of take a vacation, I guess, for a while, but I took a wrong turn. I was still an RN, and I was just starting to hang out with people who were doing drugs. They brought over some meth, and I would just smoke it. Well, sometimes they would lock themselves in my bedrooms at my house, and I came to find out they were shooting meth with a needle. I researched it myself on Google and got a needle from the hospital and made it up in the spoon, and I was just like, there's no turning back after this. And I shot it up, and that's all I did for 17 years. It was more important to me than anything. I voluntarily surrendered my license. I could not be a nurse anymore. I couldn't even function. I couldn't have a job because my job was shooting up drugs and trying to find ways to get more. So in my years of addiction, things got so dark that I just didn't feel like I had a purpose anymore, and that life was absolutely meaningless. I tried to kill myself multiple times. I drank antifreeze and had to be in the ICU on dialysis. My sister told me one time that even she would understand if I did kill myself and succeed, because this was just no way to live, and I would probably be at more peace if I just did pass away. So it was just so dark. I just thought that was going to be my life for the rest of the years, and I was just devastated. I ended up getting a federal indictment in 2019, and that's when I met Jesus. One day, a lady I used to do drugs with came in, and she had a bunk in the way back of the jail and was reading the Bible, and it just looked like the sun was shining down on her, and she just looked so peaceful. And I asked her if she was going to do drugs, and she said, "No, I'm reading the Bible now. I found new peace." And so I asked if I could change bunks, and I went back there with her. And when I started reading the Bible, I stopped swearing. I didn't even try to stop swearing. I had an ultimate peace about me. Somebody asked me if I did want some drugs, and I said, no, there's no way I can have that. I'm like holding Jesus's hand now, and I feel joy and peace, and I just know that he just broke away my chains. I don't even think about drugs anymore. It just seems like that was a different person, a different life. I'm a new creature in Christ.
I am so honored to introduce Jackie Muhs. There she is. There she is. Listen, I'll tell you what, after I watched that video, I immediately messaged her and I told her, heck yeah, that you were on the right path. And I told her that I just believe that her story and her journey was something that could absolutely inspire so many. And I'm super honored that you're here. Thank you. And remind people, or just tell people how much of a chance meeting that was for you to be there in that lobby.
So I was an orderly with another inmate at the men's prison. We would ride our bikes from the women's camp to the men's prison every day. And she cleaned the front of the prison. I cleaned the back. The one day ever she was ever sick, I was up front cleaning. And that's when Detective Jason came in and said, yeah, I'm here. I'm Detective Jason White from Tulsa PD. Okay, I've heard that on the TV 17,000 times. I said, Jason White from Tulsa PD. And I never would have been up front cleaning if she wouldn't have been sick. And it really was. It was divine intervention. It was
maybe. I'm so proud of her. And we're going to go through your story and it's just a fascinating story to me. I mean, I cannot believe that you were addicted to drugs for 17 years. And when you look at you, you can't tell. I mean, you look like you're doing whatever you're doing is you're doing the right thing, and it's amazing. So, I mean, tell us kind of how you ended. I mean, I know you do in the story, you talk about it, but you ended up getting down you started using drugs. And at some point, I mean, how many times did it take you to start doing these before you knew that you have a real problem on your hands?
Well, as soon as I started doing meth, I would start calling into the hospital sick, and I mean, it just takes over your soul. Like I said, it becomes more important than anything, than food, water, anything. It hijacks your brain, and it doesn't matter if you lose everything for it, because it is the king in your life. So as soon as I started doing that, I moved hospitals and got a job at a clinic, and I went to treatment. So the board of nursing, they were very compassionate. They started me on these health provider meetings, and I had to call a number every morning to see if I was chosen to be UA'd. But by that time, I just really couldn't really even stand to be sober. So I started drinking a lot, and I missed drugs. And I was, one day I just decided that I really didn't have to be jumping all through these hoops. It was a choice to keep my license. And I called the board of nursing and said, I want to give up my license. And they said, are you sure? Are you sober? And I was like, yes. And they call you 3 days in a row to make sure you're sober and you're sane. And they talk to you for 20 minutes. And they talked to me for 20 minutes, 3 days in a row. And they said, okay. And that was it. I gave them my nursing license. And I had no felonies. And about 3 months after that, I got my first felony for drinking and driving. And I mean, just my whole life crumbled after that. Just
yeah. And if you don't mind, tell us kind of what kind of a family you come from.
My family is amazing. Nobody's an addict. Just all professionals, nursing. My dad is a counselor. Those are my two sisters. They are RNs currently. I'm in the middle. I was the first RN out of all three of us. And my brother's a doctor. My dad's a counselor. My mom was in the medical field. My grandma was an RN at the VA hospital. just a wonderful, loving family. It's just shows that addiction affects anybody.
That's something that I realized when I was working narcotics for all the years I did. It was people who had a crazy childhood to professionals and everywhere in between. And the drug just doesn't care. It does what it does, and it doesn't care who you are. And that was something that just jumped out to me at one point when I was working narcotics all those years.
Right.
And to ask you a question, Ronnie, when we were working narcotics and stuff, I think that the general citizen, they really don't know what we're doing. And I think that I think that they almost they question whether or not we actually really care about people.
Yeah.
Really care about people.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
we want people to continue down this path. I mean, how many times did you used to, I know for me, one of the deals, if we happen to work with somebody, is like they were going to work off the charge or whatever, as far as making deals or whatever. One of the charges would literally, if they got a job, I would count that as one of the deals for sure.
Yeah, it didn't have to be give us another drug dealer or point us to someone who's doing robberies or anything like that. Yeah,
Right.
if they were making a positive effort in something, yeah, that could count for what they were doing.
So Jackie, you told me that, all right, so the first time that you ended up landing in state prison, South Dakota, was it South Dakota?
Yes.
They have a very unusual law there. Explain that to us.
They do. Okay, so believe it or not, I got off the meth. It's not like I was doing great because I started doing morphine pills, but at least I wasn't on meth. Well, anyways, I was doing that, and somebody had given me an Ambien pill once to sleep, and I didn't want to take it. So I just zipped it up in my wallet. Well, somebody that I was in the car with, we got pulled over, and I got a possession charge for the Ambien. I've never been in trouble for drugs ever. And so I got a possession charge for Ambien, and so I was on probation. Well, of course, I'm addicted to morphine. So one time I got called in for a UA for my probation officer, and it was dirty for morphine. Well, she sent it to the state, and in South Dakota, it's the only state in the entire nation that has it's called possession by ingestion. And at that time, it was 10 years for having a drug in your urine. It's called possession by ingestion. So I was facing a felony 10-year charge now for having morphine in my urine. And that's what I was sent into prison for. I got 7 years for that.
That doesn't seem like a productive use of resources to me, but I don't live in South Dakota, but well, it's not. They've lowered it to 5 years now, but it's still a law. I know that people have been trying to fight it, but I don't follow it, so I don't know. But and when I did go to state prison from 2012 to 2015, I have met all sorts of I met all sorts of people that knew all kinds of criminal things, and I didn't even know, like, I could have faked my UA that first time. I didn't even know that. That's how naive I was. I didn't even know that I could have faked my UA for that PO. But when I got out of prison those 3 years, I knew everything about everything. I came out way worse than when I went in. And that's my own fault. I just cling to people who were fun and weren't. Was there anything positive from the state court is it helpful to anybody, or what's your opinion on that?
My opinion on that is state prison. I have not seen a lot of success. In fact, they're building another women's prison in Rapid City, South Dakota. Just filling it up. I just really don't think their treatment works very well. I just don't.
Well, that's my opinion. What was their treatment?
They have it's called, I think it's called IMT, intense meth treatment, is what they have in state prison.
Which consists of what?
You're housed with everybody inpatient or who's in treatment and who's not in treatment. So then you go back to your little block, and people are making fun of you if you're in treatment. Like, they're like, yeah, blah blah, and it's just I just don't think that it's very productive. But we can talk about the federal treatment in a little bit, which I
No, of
think is
course.
absolutely superb. But state prison, I haven't met a lot of people who've been. I mean, I can only speak for myself. It didn't do much for me, but it made me way worse, way more knowledgeable, and I was, yeah.
Well, before going there, you had to have been absolutely scared to death. I mean, you come
I
from a
was
family.
terrified. I was
Yeah.
terrified. I was
So what was that
absolutely
like,
terrified.
and how was your adjustment into that environment?
Oh man, I sat in jail for a while, and then you're in the fish tank I was in there for about 40 days maybe. And then you kind of get acclimated because everyone's kind of new in there. And as soon as you're getting used to that, you're classified and moved to a different block. You know, I was terrified. I was so quiet and shy, and
So for people who don't know, what's the fish tank? What does that mean? And
okay. It's where you go right when you get to prison, and you sit there for like 30 to 60 days, and they do your paperwork. They look at your PSI, your pre-sentence investigation, and see what type of history you have, if you have violence, if you've had to escape, what your family life is like. And then you're classified according to all that. If you're a high risk, you go into a higher security block. If you're medium, or if you're low intensity. So
is the fish tank then, I guess, just like a big jumping room with the bunk beds in it? Is that what you're referring to?
So
or is there individual cells?
It's a humongous room with super high ceilings, and it's got doors, metal doors. Everyone has their own door that closes. And I think the one in Pier, there's just one toilet all the way down the, I don't want to say hallway because it's just, but you have to buzz to get in and out of your room when you're in there to use the bathroom and stuff. And you sit there, you just sit there, you sleep, you get buzzed in and out to go to chow. We call it chow. And it's pretty boring. You can order a TV, but yeah, it's boring, but it's kind of comforting, and you're kind of in your own little bubble. And as soon as you're like, this isn't that bad, they call your name and you're literally like, pack up, you're moving. It's scary. Yeah. It's scary. I was terrified.
So you managed to get through that, but were you using drugs while you're still in prison, in state prison?
No.
Okay.
I chewed.
Well, I mean, my experience.
Tobacco. A lot of the girls there chew. I know it's disgusting, but we chewed. It's so nasty, but no, I didn't do drugs there. I don't even know if there was drugs there when I was there, but I didn't do any drugs there. I just didn't do much of anything though to benefit myself. I did everything that you're not supposed to do.
So then you managed to get out of there, and once you get out of there, because we know that you ended up in federal prison at some point. So what was the day in the life for you? I mean, because you got out, did you go right back to the old world?
I sure did, because I was just put on pause. I didn't get rehabilitated, and some people can't believe that. How could you be in prison for 3 years and get out and do the same thing? But my mind hadn't changed. Nothing has changed in my heart, my mind, nothing changed. So I smoked a cigarette the second I walked out the door. I drank white wine the night I got out, and I think I did meth within 4 days.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, did you go and get a job, or what was that? How were you able to support all this?
Okay.
Because meth is super expensive. I'm thinking
Okay. So actually, I had a lot of mental issues. I said bipolar, borderline personality, anxiety, depression. And I actually was on disability from 2012 until a couple of years ago for mental health. I had to be on a ton of medications, and that's how I honestly, personally think that God knew that I was going to go through all of this horrendousness, and because it was just so weird. Every treatment center I went in, 7 different people were like, you should get on disability. And it was just strange to me. So I just felt like, so anyways, I was seeing counselors all the time, and I got on that, and that's how I paid my rent and ate food. And I really didn't use that amount of meth where it was just expensive,
Right.
Not until later on in my addiction.
So you have a period of time that you're using meth for daily. That's going on for years before you end up getting caught up short where you go to state prison, right? Then you go through state prison and you're in there for 3 years, and then you get out, you're right back on it. And then, so tell us what ended up happening next to get you into that federal situation.
Okay. Well, I was on parole for 2 years after I got out of state prison, which I went back and forth on the shuttle, back and forth to prison for being written up for dirty ways. So it was just nonstop. It wasn't a smooth parole whatsoever. It was so again, nothing changed in my heart. So you want to know? So I flatted my number in 2017, and then I'm sorry, what was that? I was done with my state number. I was done with parole in 2017, finally. Okay, so then I was free to just go wild again. And I always thought like selling meth was what I would never, ever, ever cross that line. And some people even ask me, like, do you want to sell for me? I'm like, no, I'm strictly an addict. That is something I would never do. Well, I met somebody in 2018 who was selling meth, and it just sounds so crazy, but this is just how it happened. I just can't explain it any other way. It didn't seem scary when he was doing it. He was listening to country music. It was fun. I mean, it was sunshiny out. It wasn't in some dark basement, like with Eve. I just can't explain it. It's just, it took the fear out of it, kind of. So
were you like going to people's, or was he going to people's houses, or was he meeting them at like a convenience store, or was
he driving around, listening to country music, dropping it off at people's houses, just in the middle of the day? And I don't know why. I just was desensitized by it, I guess. It's the only way I can explain it. So anyways, then he went to jail for something, and I knew who he was getting it from. And he had asked if I would kind of pick up and give to the people he was giving it to. So at that point, my moral compass was on empty. I was blind. I didn't, you know what I mean? After seeing it day in, day out, it just kind of seemed normal. So I started giving it to people, or selling it to people. I hate saying that word, but I did. And he was getting it, the main guy was getting it through the post office mail from Arizona. And one day, the guy that the post office boxes were being sent to, who's another co-defendant of mine, it was late. And so he's like, the package didn't come. And when it does come, I'm not answering the door, and I'm not going outside to get it. So like, so the other guy was like, they finally got a call from the post office, which was the feds, but they didn't know that. And they're like, well, your package is at the post office. Sorry about that. It got lost. Anybody can come get this post office, or anybody can come get this box. They just need this, whatever, the delivery number. That's all they need in ID. And so one of my co-defendants is like, well, I don't have an ID. And I was like, he's like, do you? And I'm like, I'm not going to go get it. And then he's like, they talked me into going to get it. So he wanted me to drive there by myself. I said, I'm not driving there by myself. So you're driving your truck, and I'm going to ride in the passenger seat. And so I went into the post office, and little did I know there were like federal agents scattered throughout the post office in plain clothes. my family doesn't even know this story. This is the first time they're hearing it. So, but
Well, I don't want them to get upset. I don't want to get you into trouble.
You know
with
what
your
I'm
family.
telling? I'm telling all this because how much God changed me after this.
Okay.
So this
All
is
right.
the darkest I've ever been in my life, but it gets better from here. So as soon as they're like, can we help you? I'm like, yeah, I'm here to get this package. Here's the number. They go in the back and I'm just waiting and I'm just like, oh God, just leave. But I didn't leave. And then they said, oh, here you go, Muhs. And I went to get it. And the second it was in my hands, federal agents came out. And I just screamed. I just screamed and screamed and screamed until they're like, shut up. And I'm like, no. And they're like, you're upsetting all the customers. Shut up. And they like dragged me in the back room. And oh my gosh, it was the most, I thought my life was completely over. I just thought my life was completely over. And that's how I got a federal indictment. They didn't indict me until 3 months later, but how I went to treatment because I had state charges so far, just the state picked it up. And then, so I was going to treatment to make it, make it look good. And while I was in federal treatment, I looked up on Pacer. It's this federal website. You can look at court cases. And one of my co-defendants was charged. And I was scrolling. It said, second superseding indictment, Jacqueline Muhs. And I was like, oh my, I just fell apart in treatment. And so now this is even crazier. I wanted to leave treatment and they're like, Jackie, just finish. You're done in 3 days. So I'm like, okay, fine. So I'm like, can they come here to get me? They're like, no, they cannot come in here to get you. I'm like, okay. And so me and my treatment class went on a walk in Yankton, South Dakota.
Whoops. Something happened. She just got booted off. Maybe the feds heard something they didn't like and they booted her off.
It doesn't surprise me that it took them 3 months to indict her, though. That's
really
no. They'll have they want
the
all
wheels
their
turn slow. Yeah.
wheels turn slow. There was someone when I was assigned to the FBI that made the comment that it takes a long time for it to get going, but once it does, they have a motherload of resources. So, and that's true. But yeah, it's slow to get going.
She's coming back here in a quick minute. I thought we had all these stuff ironed out. There she is. But look at how smooth we handled that, Ronnie. It was like she wasn't even missing.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So we went on a nature walk in some unmarked car.
You're still there.
We can hear you.
I can't see you guys anymore.
We can still hear you.
Well, go ahead and tell us the story, and maybe Amanda will figure out what the problem is.
Oh.
If you can hear us. Can you hear us?
Okay.
All right.
Some unmarked car pulled up, and it was a federal agent, and they arrested me, and my whole treatment class started crying, and then that's how I went to federal prison.
All right. So you end up in federal prison. Was that the only prison you went to?
See.
Just that one?
I can't see you guys.
That's all right. Can you hear me?
I guess you guys can see me. I'll just keep talking because I can't see Ronnie or Jason, but I guess you guys can see me. So I'll just keep talking. I went to federal prison, and it was the best thing that
If you can hear me, we can hear you. So
okay, I'm going to leave and re-enter again.
Okay. All right. Well, she'll leave and re-enter again. I'm telling you, it's got to be the feds. They're interrupting her what she's saying, but she'll figure it out. So you said 3 months. 3 months, honestly, is the wheels of justice turn slow, especially there.
And I see Tina had a comment that the feds work faster than the state, and I would just say from personal experience, I would completely disagree with that.
Well,
it was
in Oklahoma. No, I mean,
No, yeah. I don't know about South Dakota, but in Oklahoma, I mean, we could arrest somebody immediately and have it done. And with the feds, it's just a long, drawn out process. And but
super complicated.
It is what it is on that. So,
well, so far where we're at in this story, while she's getting that whole thing lined up, and I mean, we were really rolling incredibly well there. I mean, so now we went to the state prison. She got out. She's still doing that. Then she ends up, now she's going to go through the federal system. What did she mean by that second indictment kind of deal? Do you know what that means?
Basically, there was more information that they got, so they were adding people to the case.
Okay, gotcha. So then we went from there, and I'm seeing all these. Lisa, thank you. You're watching the first 48, and yes, you're watching us. And I have been reading your messages over there on the right sides to Tina.
And when you just seeing these messages and you talking about the chance meeting with her. Even today, I had to do some stuff with my car insurance, and the lady that I was talking to talked about this, that she had saw your stuff on Facebook and that she would be watching. So
Nancy's correct. If I end up getting booted off here, then there needs to be an investigation because there's something up. Yeah, I agree with you, Nancy. Something would be up there. So hopefully she's going to be back here really quick. But and I'll tell you that the story that she was telling us, and one of the things that I worked in the medical field for 10 years before this, and believe it or not, I've seen things in the medical field that that stuff's readily available. And okay, she's back in the studio. There you are. All right. Can you see us? Maybe not. Maybe not yet.
I would think with the time frame now, once she gets back, maybe she can just focus on what she's done since she got out, and how maybe some stuff that can help other people and to prevent them from going down the road she had to go down.
Agreed. That's exactly what we're going to do. Just to let the listeners know, while we're doing this, we have 54 minutes. Period. That's it. There's no more than 54 minutes. Once we hit that 54-minute spot, that's when the show is turned off. So while she's still figuring that out,
what's some of the? Did you ever deal with anyone who was in like the medical field whenever?
Yeah,
you were
actually I did. Well, actually, when I was working in surgery, to believe it or not, we had an RN that kept disappearing, and we were like, what in the heck is he doing? He just never was around. You could never find him. And what he was doing is he was basically taking alligator forceps, those really long forceps that you use on gallbladder surgeries and stuff like that. And they were retrieving things out of the sharps containers.
Yeah.
And taking the drugs that way. Does it happen? I'm sure it does. I mean, I really didn't see that kind of nonsense going on.
Yeah.
But other than that one particular incident, I do remember that. But I can see where
what happened to that guy. Or
I know he probably got fired. There she is. There. Oh,
Sorry,
you're
guys.
back.
Sorry.
You're back. Did you get interviewed or something?
No.
What are you saying?
I'm in a small little town, and my mom's for Christmas, and I think that their Wi-Fi is not too good, so I just did it on my phone. I apologize.
No, you're good. We figured we were talking about this and that. All right, so we've got a short amount of time. We've got about 10 minutes left of the entire broadcast. So I want to make sure that we talk federal prison. You go there, and what was that like? I mean, you've told me before it was the best experience you ever had. I mean, that really straightened it up.
Okay, it was so amazing. Okay, first of all, I just want to say a few things. So federal prison is amazing. Like, God knew I had to be set aside for 3 years. I had to be set aside, else I would not have worked on myself or read the Bible or searched for him. Plus, federal prison, they have a program called RDAP, and it stands for Residential Drug Abuse Program, but what it is a 9-month CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy treatment. Everybody in treatment is in one dorm. So you are 24 hours in treatment, because if you act up at night when the counselors are gone, the next morning you get pulled up in front of the whole treatment center and all the master's degree psychologists, and it's super embarrassing, and they'll say, could I have Jackie Muse up here, please? Jackie, last night you demonstrated against the attitude of caring when you did this. I mean, so embarrassing. So it's like they mold you um into acting right, into having the right attitude, into taking responsibility of your own actions, not blaming your addiction or anything else on anybody else. It's you. It was my choice to do all of those things. You know, it's not anybody else's fault. And you have the way you think and how you respond, it determines consequences. Either they're going to be negative and crappy consequences, or they can be good consequences if you think rationally in a caring way, take responsibility. I mean, it just rewires your entire brain. Okay, entire brain, day in, day out, for 9 months of this treatment. And if you're not acting right, you're out. You get booted out of the treatment. You get a year off for the treatment. So there is some incentive, but plus it just boosts your self-esteem so much, because all the cool, pretty girls that are in the phases above you, you're just like, gosh, those girls are put together. They're mature. They act right. I mean, I'm just like, I want to be like them. Well, guess what? At the end of the treatment, I was one of them. Like, I was a mentor. It's just like, it's the way it's set up is so amazing. So that's what I would like to do, is not have somebody be federally indicted and have the same type of treatment. And also have them search for God and read the Bible, because God is the one that changed me. And I believe that I went through all of those experiences and I suffered through all of that so I could help people. And another thing is that if one of those 10, 12 inpatient treatment centers I went to saved me or whatever, God wouldn't have got the glory. I went through everything and all the inpatient psychologists, psych hospitals, suicide attempts, ICUs, all of that. Nothing helped me except for God. And this way, God gets the glory. He chose me. He let my addiction go on for so long until I could relate to people and help people. And he does. God he saves the brokenhearted and the crushed in spirit, and he will save you. If he saved my family, pretty much gave up on me. Like they if I would have committed suicide and succeeded, I believe truly, and no matter how much they love me, they would have been relieved, because it was just a headache. It was
Yeah.
so frustrating for them. They were going through all this sober. I can't imagine the pain I put them through. But
Yeah. I mean, it's just a good reminder. And, Ronnie, I don't know if you felt the same. I'm pretty sure you did. I mean, we pretty much think pretty close to the same way, but it's self-destruction, I mean, the drug stuff, etc. For me, my heart always went out to people that suffered from that addiction, because it was just like, there's a lot of good people that suffer from that. And
There are,
they just kind of get,
and I, along what Jackie was saying, it snowballs, and that's something that I think gets lost a lot of times. How the stuff she was doing was affecting her loved ones and stuff, and that I think gets lost a lot of times. And so I'm glad you mentioned something along those lines. And it's just crazy how it can take over your life.
yeah,
I cannot. Go ahead, Jackie, please.
Just a second. What I was going to say.
Well, while you're thinking about it, I just want to say this, that I think that you coming on here, this is true crime. It's not just true crime. It's about movers and shakers and people that are doing stuff positive with their lives. And I think that you're incredibly inspirational to a lot of people, more than you will ever know, honestly. And it's not just to the people that went kind of down a journey that you're going there, that you went down, but it's the family members. I mean, my gosh, that's a whole nother nightmare in and of itself, just family members dealing with this.
Exactly. And that's what I was going to say is, don't ever give up on an addict, because it's not them. It's not your loved one. It's the addiction. It hijacks their brain, and it does. It just hijacks their brain. And when all hope is lost and you think that there's no hope, like I'm just telling you, if you work on yourself and you believe in God, I'm just telling you, He will save you. Nobody ever thought I would be saved from addiction. Nobody. I was the worst of the worst. I loved the needle just as much as the drug, and it was all disgusting. It was all darkness. And now I've never had a more beautiful life in my family. They are proud of me, but I'm proud of them too, because they went through hell.
Hey, without mentioning the place where you work, what are you doing now? I know you're working because you've told me that when we've messaged. What are you doing? But don't tell people where you're at. But what are you doing?
I am a bookkeeper. I do like accounting and books and just I do I do a variety of things. The people I work for I've been friends with since high school, and they own a lot of properties now. They're really successful, and they gave me a chance, which I'm so grateful for. They gave me a chance, and they pay me really well, and they're very good people.
Ronnie, do you have anything else for this young lady?
Well, I was going to say, what issues did you face when you got out? And you kind of talked about that, I guess. Who else helped you, or what else could you tell someone who was getting out and has went to these programs of like, here's a kind of a roadmap you should take to be successful?
Yeah, within 1 minute.
Okay, I don't love people from afar that are still in active addiction. And every single day, this is what I do. I read my Bible to ground myself in the morning and ask for protection. And I just take it one day at a time. And God will help you every single day if you ask for it.
Listen, I cannot. We're gonna probably close this thing out here real quick and have some closing remarks. Jackie, I'm proud of you. I mean, you have moved me, and I am super. You have no idea how proud I am of you. I want you to keep me posted. You message me on Instagram anytime you want, and just keep me posted. I don't want any bad reports. But know that a lot of people are pulling for you. They really are, and myself included. And I know Ronnie is as well. And there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be following along here. I think you're going to be shocked at how many people. I've already seen a lot of comments and how proud they are of you and supportive. And what a great story right now, right before we hit Christmas. So thank you for being very forthcoming. And I can't say enough about you. So thank you for coming on, because I know that takes a lot of courage.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for letting me share my story. And anybody can be saved. I'm telling you. Thank you guys.
Perfect.
Thanks.
Well, with that said, we've got a minute left in this deal. Ronnie, I think that this went really well. I think that our first show together was pretty good. See how quick 54 minutes goes? It does. It's super quick. I want to thank everybody.
Story was just great, and it just,
I did too.
Again, for everybody, just don't give up and keep pushing forward and get through it.
Completely agree. Both Ronnie and I, and Jackie as well, I'm going to throw her in on this. We are all wishing everybody that are listeners happy holidays, happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, whatever you are celebrating. We wish you a safe holiday season. Thank you for taking the time to join us during this live broadcast. You're going to be able to watch this. You can watch this for a week and the video part of it, and you can listen to it forever. And so I can't tell you enough as to how thankful we are that you are all listening to us and being a part of our experience. You're making this an epic show, and I love it. And it's really because of people like Jackie that's making that happen. It's not us, it's her. All right, we got to go. So we're going to hear some closing music. See you the next time. I wish I had time to tell you about the next guest, but I'll put it up on my Facebook. All right, see you next week.